Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us on the Newsfeed PM edition. A group of activists want the Traditional and Khoi-San Leadership Act to be declared invalid. It comes as the Constitutional Court is hearing a challenge against the Act. Advocacy groups argue that the Act seeks to maintain what they call the colonial system of control over black subjects and segregated systems of property rights. For a further discussion on this, I'm joined by Meshack Mbangula, who's a national coordinator for the Mining Affected Communities Union in Action, Macau. Very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for your time. Perhaps let's start off with why you're rejecting this Act.
The history has taught us that is, especially when it comes to issues of mining, where communities are not being consulted, but only the traditional leaders are spoken to about the land issues. And we'll find that is now the traditional leaders doesn't even talk to the communities that will be affected by mining, and they find themselves being forcefully removed, lose land, and find themselves being close, issues of mine, and facing cracking houses, no water at all. So based on such issues, we felt that it would be important to make sure that this law it's removed totally, because it's going to make our people subject, and it's bringing this colonial law of apartheid, and it's really, we believe that it will definitely bring serious problems to people of losing land. We've been going back to the issue of Batustand, people who are limited to land and everything. So based on such things, we feel this is not a correct act, not appropriate to bring such a law in this time. The parliament itself have betrayed, the struggle of the people have fought in many years to win the land and to get democracy. Now we are going back to colonial system, which is segregated system that will obviously marginalize communities. Communities are marginalized as we speak, and we cannot allow that to bring a law that will definitely make sure that more of these things are happening. It's very unfair for the communities. Yeah. So we today at the court, we really put it clear that we're not really going to accept this law as the act. And it's disappointing for the government at this era of the democracy to come in and sign for the law of this type, which takes us back to many years of apartheid. It's quite really a betrayal of the communities.
With communities being put in a very tight and uncomfortable corner, do you believe that Parliament erred in passing the bill to begin with?
Sorry?
Do you think the Parliament perhaps made a mistake in passing this law to begin with?
No, they didn't make a mistake. There's this time now in this era where new mining will be coming in because of this new green energy and everything. So more minerals are needed to start with that mining. So based on such, they are making it easy for these multinational companies to access the land without having problems of talking to the communities that are rightful owners of the communities. But it's easy if you talk to these traditional leaders, because it's easy to bribe them, it's easy to deal with everything with that without talking to the communities. And whilst we are talking about issues of free, prior, informed consent, where the concern of the people, which is informed views, should be taken seriously, but now we are taken back to a stage where we could not be consulted meaningfully so. And they should just have to talk to the tradition. The chief is chief by people. That means you have to consult, but now is given powers just to make a decision without the people. Obviously, that itself, it's a very detrimental subject to the community. It reduces them to nothing. It marginalizes them. And without that, it's important that this act should be scrapped. And that is done purposely so, because they want these investors who came before and take our minerals and left our town with ghost town unrehabilitated, and people still leave our people with inequality, in poverty, without any benefits from this money. So we cannot allow a law that will definitely marginalize us.
So with the assertions that you're making that rural communities are being targeted because of their rich natural resources, what evidence can you provide for this? I mean, how do you show for it?
Yes, like I indicated, history have proven to us that is multinational companies in our communities. This act will affect about 21 million in the rural areas. And we know that is for the fact that is in the mining areas, people have been not losing land because they were not consulted. Only the traditional leaders were consulted. And for instance, they were bribed, this corruption, and then they easily sell the land to these multinational companies. And people find themselves to be relocated or forcefully removed in their land. So that has been happening. We have the history. We have been fighting against that, and we've been telling the DMR-E2 and other government to say you have to put the free, prior, informed consent. That is, people need to be consulted meaningfully. So, and they should be able to determine their own the rightful economy that will be sustain them, not just to come in with it. So that we've been to court. We've been marching against the non meaningful consultation of the people.
Do you feel that the current administration is failing in terms of safeguarding vulnerable communities and instead leaving it all up to NGOs and civil society? Especially, specifically, do you think that Minister Gwede Mantashe could be doing more for these communities?
They just not didn't fail only, the corrupt, because we did a lot of research on these issues of meaningful consultation, of engaging the communities. And we gave them those reports to say, look, what is happening with this? These things put people into a position where they are facing serious poverty and inequality. But it will be important for you to make sure that processes are followed. There are laws that should be followed by these multinational companies, but we feel that doesn't happen at all. So they know these laws. They have things to follow, but what they decide is to say to give these multinational companies, because they are together in this. Some of these parliamentarians are shareholders of these mines, so they easily give grant licenses without communities' consultation, and that itself is a serious problem that we are facing. So we feel that is now at the moment, at this juncture, they bring in another law that will suppress us to their subject. No, that cannot happen. So they are not just failing, they're corrupt as well.
Very well. Thank you so much. Let's perhaps leave it there for now, leaving it there with Meshack Mbangula, who's the National Coordinator for the Mining Affected Communities United in Action.